Quality District.
Rural Health Services Consult.
That didn't start off as well as I wanted. Let's try this again. Yes, it's Marky Billson, and this is Tri-City Sports Now. I'm the road runner. I never bother anyone, man. Well, actually, it's Tri-City Sports Now. You're listening to 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. I am your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. Yes, the name of the program is Tri-City Sports Now. The reason why we on the Tri-Cities, I got the best guests and the hardest-hitting opinions in the market. And the hardest-hitting questions as well. As indicated by my first guest today at 12:30, the interview you want to hear, Steve Forbes, head men's basketball coach of East Tennessee State. I guess I've been quite the, in some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad. As a sports talk show host, you want publicity, and really whatever you can gather is good for you to a certain extent because, about you. And, I mean, there is the idea that you'd like to have people say they love you and all this, but, you look at the comments section on, say, Colin Cowherd, who comes after me. How many times you go when you see a YouTube take on Colin Cowherd, is it this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, all this. And we had Mark Malone back on a year ago. We were affiliated with the NBC Sports Radio Network. He did a show on 1420 WEMB, and it was syndicated. And I had him on a couple of times, talk football. And you have to understand that as a little kid, Mark Malone was the quarterback of my favorite football team when I was a young boy, the Steelers. And I liked Malone because he replaced indirectly Cliff Stout and led the Steelers to the AFC Championship game back. Statistical start in 85, was hurt, was never the same, and he was absolutely killed by the Pittsburgh fan base. And I never thought that was right. I thought that they should look at the Malone that had the banner up at Three Rivers Stadium and said, Malone is our man. And that wasn't the case. It was the Malone, they just booed him out of town. And I thought that was unfair. I really did. And I once said to him, I thought that you'd put up with too much garbage when you were in Pittsburgh as a player. And he said, you know what? It goes with the territory. Everybody gets booed. And so that's what you do. You take a stiff upper lip, so to speak. Anyway, years ago, Mike North, famous sports talk show host, was covering an NBA playoff series between the Chicago Bulls, and it was in the middle of the Michael Jordan dynasty, and the Miami Heat, who at the time were coached by Pat Riley. Press conference, I think the Heat were down 3-0, best of 4, 97 Eastern Conference Finals. And North asked Riley, if God came down to you and said, look, if you shave your head, I'll let you beat the Bulls, would you? All right. Riley didn't answer. I don't blame him. He only gave a blank stare. North was removed from the premises. The country chided him for unprofessionalism. But North, Magi, if you had two loves in your life, would you give up one for the other? Would you trade your most valuable possession for an NBA championship? Now, see, that doesn't sound so bad. Thing is, however, if we start banning people or asking, if we do it for asking a question about Riley shaving his head, as bizarre possession as the case may be, which still, you could have gotten away with that, but you probably would not have, it was like, geez, all that, that wouldn't have won the press conference, that question, But if you had done that, what slope will we travel down if we say you can't start asking those questions? That's the question here. Will the media, the conduit to the fans, and I know that's overdone, but it is true that, media is a conduit to the fans. It's true. I know it's made up a lot as a end-all, be-all defense, but there's, third time I'm saying it, I'm repeating myself, it's true. If we can't ask a certain type of question, what kind of a slippery slope will we go down in asking questions? Will we then be banned from asking about controversial strategic decisions or other challenging questions? Will we only be allowed to ask softballs, or, I don't know, receive a written statement at the end concerning how hard the team played and we thank the fans for your great support? You don't want that. This is an issue of freedom of speech. Simple as that. Now, freedom of speech also has us the ability to criticize Mike North for his question. I think it was rather, you're asking that one, Mike? I mean, really, Sportscasters across the country did chide North for his unprofessionalism. Yet it goes with the territory, as Mark Malone said to me. But this is what Eisenstock said of it. It said that his question allowed North to stand tall in the center of a barrage of mundane sports questions and well-cliched answers. And frankly, the only reason you'd remember the 1997 NBA Eastern Conference Finals was because of Mike North asking the question of Pat Riley, would you shave your head to win a series, or whatever the question officially was and all this. Now, I'm prefacing this because, as many of you know, I received the brunt of ETSU head men's basketball coach Steve Ford. Rodriguez was on the bench for the last 6-11. Jerome Rodriguez, who also missed the next game with a concussion protocol. And that was the 102-94 CIT loss to Green Bay. But there was a 10-day layoff between those two games, and it was never announced that Armas nor Jerome Rodriguez were injured. It was announced that Patrick Good couldn't play. And then the practices were closed to the media. And even the pregame notes for the Green Bay CIT game listed Armas and Rodriguez as starters. With him, could contend for a national ranking next year. And I truly believe that, and I know that they're now building up. There's going to be a big man on campus this weekend and all that. Bird in the hand, two in a bush. I feel it is in a player's interest for a team to report injuries. I've always felt this. My easy statement is and I don't want to accuse any specific coach. This is a universal statement. I am not accusing any individual coach. But a coach that doesn't list injuries could be a coach that plays. It's as simple as that. I feel it is done in the National Football League. And in fact, I can remember the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. They were doing some, they weren't necessarily reporting. More recently was Todd Gurley in the Super Bowl. What was the case there? Now, the Cowboys back in the 90s were fined, and then they went out, and anybody who had a bruise was listed as probable in their injury report. But that was better than not listing it at all. Look, we can talk about the protocol of medical clearance for athletes. Injured players playing. Rub some dirt in it, take a lap. You've heard that. That's not go to the trainer and get it fit, When injuries aren't reported, what is to prevent one from playing an injured player? I don't care if you're talking Little League. It's done in the NFL. I think that's the way to do it. Now, look. Death of his father, players he has had leaving, the current scrutiny of college basketball coaches with bribery hearings that most definitely have touched desirable for a player such as Armas to transfer to. Yes, the bribery scandal does touch ETSU indirectly. Thankfully, not in a corrupt way, but in a way that could take a player away from them. With all that going on, I can definitely see why Steve Forbes would be testy. I was told, he said, I hoped he didn't take his response personally. Coach, I don't. Not at all. But I got to tell you something. My line of questioning was valid. And a member of the media should not be an extension of the team's public relations department. Now, I've said this time and time again. I sometimes, the idea, so many times, this was said to me yesterday, by some people that I was talking to. One person actually suggested Forbes' name. I put a whining crybaby sound up. I'm not going to do that. They don't play in the Tri-Cities. ETSU does. They're the D1 team. They're the program that could at least conceivably win a championship that everybody in the country would care about. And they're the only one that could. So that's one of the reasons I feel they deserve the coverage that they do. And yes, I feel that you deserve more. Everybody deserves more than just softballs. I guess I have a little more, but I want to talk a little bit about the playoffs that are going on in the NHL and the NBA, plus some baseball after this.
Sunshine, spring.